Welcome in. This is Follow Everton. I'm joined by the Warlock himself, the Witch,
The
uh,
Undertaker.
Chri- Chris. You called it. You called it. Well, we just watched Everton Fulham. I see the number of watchers trickling up here, so thank you for joining us on Follow Everton. We're coming off of a 1-1 draw, a late equalizer by Beto, a Beto header from a Endai switch and a Ashley Young short little cross. Chris, what'd you think?
Underwhelming for sure. I realize this jacket is good. Give me 1 second. The jacket is screwing up the green screen, so my face is
Yeah,
disappearing.
it
One
doesn't
second.
matter. Nobody cares how you look.
All right.
Chris
So
has Chris has a wet indigo too, so that's why he looks so
I've been
fancy.
eating the side of my face throughout this entire match out of anxiety and frustration. How about that? No, just like I'm not sure if you were able to catch my halftime reaction. We were slow, unresponsive, got beat in the middle a lot. We had a little period where we actually challenged them, and we were baiting them to score. It seemed like we were okay with them controlling, and was like, we've got this. We're good enough defense. Nothing will happen. And of course, Awobi was going to score. That's how these matches happen. They return in. They're going to be modest about a strike. And at some point, we were bringing in just enough players that were on the fringe that needed to prove themselves in Lindstrom and Beto, and I'm really happy for him. I'm not sure if you noticed that celebration. He had his head. Let's not call it a celebration. At the end, he ducked his head under his shirt. He was so emotional, and it meant so much to him that he scored that goal, that he was tearing up and he was afraid to show emotion publicly, and that it says a lot about his intentions and what his commitment is to the shirt, or his professional endeavor entirely. But you would be grinning ear to ear. You wouldn't be crying if you were unhappy to score for a club and just for yourself, I think. So that really says something. But we were second best almost the entire match. We got incredibly lucky. Fulham outdid us. We predicted they would outdo us. Well, you thought we'd win. I thought we'd get kind of outdone and get something at the end. So my Warlock prediction is up today. I'm not going to do any other predictions because I'm really nervous about what the implications will be. So I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, Chris is a witch. Chris predicted nearly everything that happened. I thought it was going to be a draw. I was saying a 2-2 draw, but Everton are very, very lucky to come out with a point. They were not the better side today. I will give Dice credit. I ripped him in the pre-match because of his decision to start Michael Keane rather than Jared Branthwaite. But his subs of Beto and Jesper Lindstrom were exactly what needed to happen. We needed to inject a bit of chaos, a bit of energy into that setup because they were lacking. Well, I don't even know, desire. Like it just seemed they seemed so passive all match, and that I think it's completely encapsulated in that one moment where Decore has played the ball. He has a ton of space around him, is not checking his shoulder, and just immediately plays it back. And you can hear Goodison go, just so frustrated.
So
Yeah.
you listen to the American coverage, and for those in the comments, feel free to jump in too. Did you hear? Was it Graham Lasso was the commentator for you, like the color commentator?
Yeah, I had Peter Drury and who was with I'm not sure.
I think it's Graham Lasso. He's the
Okay.
ex fullback for Liverpool. For Arsenal. It was really kind of difficult and disgusting listening to him talk. He basically was. It's one of those smug. He's smarter than everyone at Goodison. They should shut up. Just relax. Dyche knows what he's doing. Don't get mad. It's your fault that Stones left because he did a pass back and you got mad at him, and that's why he went to Man City. He legitimately said this when I'm more frustrated either at Decore for not listening to his teammates or his teammates not having leadership. Taki right next to him doesn't tell him he's got time, take a turn and take the game on. That is unacceptable communication at a professional level. Yes. So it's more frustrating for either Decore to be that stubborn which I'm not sure. That seems like something he would do, but he's also will score a goal, so you let him in the team. Or Tarky didn't speak up, and he seems to be not his vocal self at the moment. So one of those two things happened. But that
Yeah.
moment stood out to me, and Graham Lasso was just ripping on Everton and the fans. And I feel like someone needs to go after him professionally to do it. Granted, I look like the Undertaker, but I'm not that guy.
I know, and I think, and all of our friends in the UK, you have no idea what we're talking about. But we were talking about the play-by-play and color commentary on the our stream. We had it on NBC here, so we were watching that. All right, let's look at some of the comments here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We see Mr. Toffee. You're one of our favorites. Woeful performance by the starting 11. I cannot disagree with you. There was not much good. We'll get to scores and we'll talk about individual performance, but I think just as a whole, I don't think you can I don't think you could quibble much with Dyche's setup outside of Keane and maybe Young. Um, did John Dyche get it right to start the game for you, Chris, with after what we saw?
No, I think Branthwaite. I don't think it's Keane's fault, but Branthwaite is such an improvement that if you're going to keep Taki on the pitch because of what you hope is his leadership that we're not seeing right now, you need to keep Taki on. Then okay, fine. Thank you for your contribution, Keane, but or Michaela, whatever you want to, for all the thanks, Keane. But we need Branthwaite back on. He has an asset to support the left on that left side with Mikalenko. And he also has this ability to intercept and give support to the midfield because we just got entirely overrun today.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a bit Beto at the end. Oh, Peter, I see what you're doing here with your puns. But let's not allow that equalizer to distract us from how shit we were there. We're not gonna say otherwise. I can promise you that.
I'm like, it was a 4 to 5 out of 10, and for me, a 6 is a pass. Like, there's a reason, and it was absolutely justified that the fans were saying it wasn't good enough, and that's what I was worried. We'd score a goal, and it's just enough to verify that Dyche did his job, and it wasn't. Fulham are a good squad going forward, and Corey, who's going to jump on, has his opinions that Fulham aren't great, and honestly, they had amazing off the ball runs, but they're also not. They don't have the funding to really hurt us enough. But they know what they're doing. That they're coached well to make
Yeah,
defensively us uncomfortable. And
yeah. You know
going
what?
to
I'll tell you what. Smith Rowe and Iwobi were the best players on the pitch today. Traore, he gave Mikalenko a lot of trouble down that side. And then who came on for him? Who was the
Reece
winger that came on?
Nelson, the other
Oh
Arsenal
my!
player. And
What?
Ashley Young was pantsed, and we did nothing, and we hoped for 30 minutes. You have
Oh,
Coleman and Patterson, and we did nothing.
oh man!
We got lucky.
They
Over and
they
over and over.
have Fulham are better. I'll just tell you right now, Fulham are a better team than we are right now, or at least they were on the day. Oh, there's one of my favorites, Emma Ebeto saves the day. Otherwise, shite. Completely agree.
I like this one.
Yeah, I knew you would. I knew you would. Chris has got to go to a wedding later, so that's why he looks all fancy. Beto saves Everton. He did. You know what? I was so glad when he came on. Chris and I were texting during the match, and Lindstrom came on, which I thought we would never see him again. Chris thought otherwise. But he's exactly what we needed. Jack Harrison was completely absent throughout most of that match. I think at one point, Sean Dyche was like, he's giving me nothing here. So we have to make a change here. So bringing on Lindstrom seemed like the right move, and bringing on Beto certainly did as well. I thought DCL would have some success today, but he was completely swallowed up by their center halves. I don't know if it was, you could see they are just strong center halves that are willing to muscle you off of a spot. So maybe that was it. Let's check in with Corey and see what he thought of the effort up front, and how we looked. All right,
Hello,
Corey,
you okay?
Yeah, we can hear you, bud.
Good. You looking smart there, Chris, mate. Looking dapper.
Working on it, yeah.
On the touchline.
I mean, yeah, that I'm almost Dyche-like, except he has a white. He would only wear a white collared shirt, wouldn't he?
100%, mate. But you look at dapper all the less, mate.
Yeah. All right, Corey, come on, give us your initial thoughts. They're coming in hot.
So, like you mentioned earlier, they were too physical. I don't actually think the two centre backs at the back for Fulham are very, very good, technically or tactically.
I didn't think so either.
The big lads, they were missing Joachim Anderson, I think, weren't they? Who is probably their better centre back, the leader at the back. So they relied a lot on their physicality. So us trying to match them in terms of physicality and go long ball, it just wasn't working. I understand they had the high press, but we just needed someone who's going to get a bit closer to Dom. Someone who, if we can't wrap a ball around and go high, then something whipped in that whoever got a bit of technical ability, maybe bringing Dye into the middle. That would have been our only real chance to turn him around, is kind of play on that fragility as opposed to go toe-to-toe physicality with them.
Yep. We got one more. We want to bring in. Here he is, the man himself. Hey Ryan, do you have any news? You have any news? What's going on with you?
My fiance had a baby yesterday, so she's the latest Evertonian in the mix, and the promise was to name her after the goal scorer, but Nobby I don't think would go down too well for a young girl, in all honesty. Or what he's Nobatil Beto, isn't he? Norbatil.
Betsy.
What's his actual name? Forgotten it now. He's got like 4 names.
If you have an accent, it's Beto Gomez, isn't it?
I don't know.
Is the signal gone?
I think Betsy works, lads.
Oh, we're gonna have a follow Everton party.
You guys have Yann in the background as well. I've got to get going to this wedding. So
Yann's gonna jump in as well. Ryan, congratulations! I am so excited for you. That is so cool. You're bringing another Evertonian into the world. Let's see if we can get.
I've only got one.
Oh, hello. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but I'm walking through Stanley Park and rather thankful for the point that we didn't deserve. Just give me a thumbs up if you guys can see me at all. Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. We can't see you. We can't see you, but we can hear you just fine.
Okay, never mind then.
Okay. He's jumping off. Corey, this is mayhem. This is like that last 5 minutes of at a time. We're just throwing balls in the box right now.
To be honest, this is how it used to be, because we had that many people. Everyone's fighting to get an opinion. Oh, thank you for all the comments. I don't want to steal your thunder, because I have to drive back from where I'm actually unfortunately had to work today. It was a pleasant work, but you can't be letting people down even in any circumstances. So I'm now going to go to the hospital when I drive back. So just wanted to briefly say that I thought Everton were poor. I think that goes without saying. I didn't quite understand what the strategy was. I think if we're going to go route one, you've got to do it like we did in the last 10 minutes, which is 2 lumps up front, get the ball into the centre of the box away from the keeper and play around him. I thought the spaces between the midfield and the defence were too wide. It allowed Fulham to basically pick us off, play around us. And Fulham, on every occasion they've come to Goodison, have realised overload one wing, work into a crossing position, and then get it over to the other side, where the fullback of Everton, because they're so narrow, is almost occupying the striker rather than the person at the back post, and leaves us vulnerable. And I think Fulham could have got a few of goals just like that. And Everton really, I felt like we didn't learn our lessons from previous trips to Fulham against Fulham, and I was so disappointed that it took us so long. Now, I would just say one thing to give you a contradiction there. The goal actually comes from the fact we did have a bit of composure.
Yeah, you did.
I'd argue every time if we're going to go direct, we go direct. You play it into the forwards, you get the knockdowns, and you have to swarm them and have bodies around for that loose ball. What we were doing was we were lumping it to one man. The gaps were so big, we couldn't sustain any possession. They were hopeless, sort of hopeful balls where the defender always had the chance to get rid of it. It was easy for them to deal with. When we changed it up and we got the bodies in the box and we played with a little bit of edge and composure for that goal, which was the long ball, win the knockdown, the composure, not to rush it, get it out wide to Ndai. He beats his man, cuts inside, swings it to the back post. Young then could have smacked it and we would have all groaned. Composure to get it across, and then for Beto to read the situation. And the sheer numbers in the box is what causes that, because Fulham don't know who to pick up. And that is the level we should aspire to. And that's all I've got to say. Apart from that, I'm going to listen to this on my way home on my drive back.
Awesome. Hey,
I
thanks
take
for
a
jumping
point.
in.
I take a point because I thought
Yeah,
we were,
we'll take a point. That's a good result. That's a point stolen. Hey, congratulations to you though. That's wonderful news. So thanks, Ryan, for joining us. All right, Corey, you got interrupted by all the chaos. So please share with us your thoughts on Everton's performance and how we
Yeah, of
closed out
course.
that.
So I would have took the draw before the game. I know a lot of people probably be disappointed that it's only 1 point, but before the game, I'd have took the draw. I think it's relatively even in terms of where we were in the table. Keeps us fighting with Fulham in a roundabout way, and especially obviously stealing it as late as we did. But the performance was very poor. We looked like a championship team at times. There were times when we were attacking, we looked decent, but most of the time we didn't look composed. We looked panicked. We were in a frenzy most of the time, and they looked a class above. We know they've got a good team technically, and defence is their weakness, but we just really, really struggled. We could have done with them lads in midfield that are missing to change the game, and I think Branthwaite coming on would allow us to step up and put a bit more pressure on them, take the game a bit more to them, and it would have dealt with their high press.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more. It just seemed like Everton were sitting back and waiting for Fulham to take the game to them, unfortunately, and Fulham has the talent to do it, as we saw. Did you have any when Iwobi scored? Were you just saying like, of course it was Alex Iwobi, and of course he looked probably more brilliant in that moment than I don't know if we ever saw him when he was with us.
Yeah, once again, it's a very Everton moment, isn't it? The technique was brilliant, by the way. The fact he didn't get any backlift on his leg to hit the ball, he just hit it nice and sure. Fantastic technique. It was guided by our two centre backs, but fair play to him. It was a brilliant strike. Wasn't one of them where I don't think that it was bad football. It was just brilliant, a brilliant bit of technique from him, and great football from Emile Smith-Rowe as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to make sure that we give them their due credit. Actually, I don't give a shit if we give them their due credit. This is an Everton show. But Ashley Young was really poor in that moment, not stopping the ball, not stopping the run of Smith-Rowe. Tarkowski not closing out on Alex Iwobi, and then Pickford probably could have been shaded over to his right a little bit more to get a better angle at stopping that shot. So a great moment for Alex Iwobi, but Everton was certainly, I think, allowed that to happen.
Yeah. Ashley Young leads in with tries to tackle with his right foot, which is the completely wrong thing to do. He is experienced, but it probably shows where he has still got that mindset, his history of being a winger as opposed to being a fullback. Because instead of leaning in and tackling with his left foot, he's coming with his right. It's very easy then for Smith-Rowe to shrug him off. And further back as well, McNeil half-heartedly chased him. I thought he was one of our poorest players today. He was non-existent, really.
Mm-hmm. You said McNeil, right?
Yeah, it's like McNeil.
Yeah. There was just nothing. There was nothing out of him. There was no moments of brightness. There was, I kept waiting. I was like, is he going to be able to find the ball on his left foot and make something happen? But it just didn't really happen. So, Flash, it was shite. 68 minutes to make a sub. It's actually early for Dyche. Decore was a passenger disgrace to the shirt. It feels harsh. I mean, when you think of some of the contributions he's made for Everton over the years, but I think his time on this team is slowly dwindling down. Young, Gay, useless. Yesterday's old men. Whilst young talent is benched, will Dyche learn? I don't know. Let's get that perspective from Yann. Yann, will Dyche ever learn?
Hello. Hi, guys. I can't hear you very well. Do apologise for that. Yeah, just walking back. And honestly, I was expecting to jump on this in the dark, being like, well, that was shit, wasn't it? And, well, I'm going to do that, but it was shit, wasn't it? But we managed to steal a point.
Yeah, it was shit. But
oh, wow. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I can't hear you guys.
That's okay. You can't hear it. You can't hear anything at all. No.
1 second. I'll be back in 1 second.
All right, we're gonna pull him down. We'll just have Yann pop on every once in a while, call Everton shit, and then go back to our analysis. All right, Corey, who was your man of the match today?
Sorry, Flash, but it was Gay for me. I thought he'd done his job, and a lot of the times he'd done Decore's job today, pressing up high, but coming back to collect the ball. There was a moment where he was in the corner, he was just going back and forth, and I was thinking, oh no, here we go, they're going to get the ball here. But he kept hold of it really well, and actually managed to get rid of the ball, and there was a chance for a counter-attack at that point. Didn't come to anything, but I think throughout the game, he was chasing things down. You can see his legs are starting to go on him a little bit now, but for me, his passing was one of the most progressive on the pitch, and defensively done a very, very good job. He was the best of a very bad bunch today.
Yeah, I would agree. That's exactly my pick as well. He made me a little nervous with that challenge in the box on was it Reese? I thought that very easily could have gone against him, but he was able to get the ball. He was our one brighter spot, but certainly nobody was. No one.
I think Mykolenko had a decent game as well. I can't believe I've just seen him take on a player as well. I didn't think I'd ever see him do that in an Everton shirt. When he took on Tete around about 70 odd minutes. Fair play to him. I thought he might have got a nosebleed doing that. But I thought he had a solid game. Not spectacular, but there were a lot of times where he dealt with the Darmatro's pace really, really well. Didn't get too tight and let him get past. The support from Ndai was good as well. But yeah, I think give Mykolenko his due as well. I think he done okay in that back line.
Yeah. DCL is not a Premier League center forward. His record speaks for itself. That's probably a little bit harsh. I think DCL is a we'll bring Yann back in. We see him waving. Okay, here we go. Let's bring it back in. All right, Yann, is DCL a Premier League center forward?
That's very good. Well, technically, yes, he's registered with a team that play in the Premier League. No, he's not. He's very wasteful. Beto had more chances in there. If anything, we should have made some more changes to at least give him the option, because he's sterile. He's usually impotent on his own because we don't have the right system to support him. But I mean, having said that, is that criticizing him in general, or is that about the performance in today's game?
Yeah, I feel like what we saw today was a result of just the setup itself and getting virtually no support. He was swallowed up by those center halves, but we've seen that happen. But
I don't think, from my point of view, being at the match, I mean, I know sometimes you can get paradoxically better and worse views from watching it on TV, right? But being at the match, I would say that, I don't know how much you guys concur with this, but we sat back and allowed Fulham to literally walk all over us, to the extent that there were times when it felt like they had a kickboxing or a fucking jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu or something attitude to the game. I mean, look at towards the end when their player wiped out their own keeper or similar. That was just par for the course. And the fact that we didn't change our tactics to counteract that, and we allowed them to do that, meant that the ball was never going to get through to DCL because we were constantly being crowded out.
Hey, sorry, now against Liverpool.
Yeah. Corey, was that a result of the midfield, Dwight McNeil, Abdoulaye Doucouré just not able to control that game, I thought, in any meaningful way?
I think so. We're limited for the players that we've got with the injuries in midfield. But if you've got a team that's playing as high press as Fulham are, someone like Doucouré who can't really keep the ball, we've said before, he's like an agent of chaos. He's physical, but he's not technical. So they're going to put him under a lot of pressure. McNeil, at his worst, he's one-footed. So again, that high pressure, you just can't deal with it. And we just did, like Yann said, we just did not choose the tactics to counteract that. We were just going, only way we could do, go long ball, and we were struggling. So very much on the manager for not changing things earlier.
Yeah, do you like Mangala coming into the side earlier, or at least from the start?
Yeah, I would have liked them in earlier. I understand. Look, we've had 2 good games with Doucouré in the midfield, so I understand and I appreciate Dyche's decision to do that. But Mangala's got a lot more control of the game. Doesn't get forward as much, but he's a lot steadier tactically. Technically, he's a lot better than Doucouré, and you can see his composure. A couple of times where it's a tight situation, doesn't look like he's got the agility and skills of Ndiaye, but he does the right thing and he still gets rid of the ball. I actually was asking for Armstrong to come on a little bit earlier, just to be a little bit more positive. I know it's a little bit of a baptism of fire for him, but we just needed to be really, really positive. Fortunately, in the end, sorry, mate. Yeah.
No, keep going.
As I say, fortunately, in the end, Fulham decided to go defensive, and it's only once they went defensive that our game changed.
Yeah, I agree. I found that very odd because you could see what we wanted to do in those final 10 minutes was just sling any kind of trash into the box and hope we get lucky, which is pretty much exactly what happened. They didn't need to do that. They would have been able to continue to own and keep possession, and I don't know if we would have been able to do anything to stop it. So here B is saying today's game is proof that Dyche is totally inept and tactical play. Even his supporters can't deny it. Shocking game, clueless. You have to question: is Dyche's tactical decision making a result of the squad? Is it just his natural kind of pragmatism? Is it his view of the game? But we've seen this from Sean Dyche now over the course of several years. I think this is just Sean Dyche. Corey, if we're able to get some money to spend in January, do you think Sean Dyche is able to make changes with a little more technically gifted squad, or a squad with a little more ambition?
I think the potential's there. I don't know if he would do it though. He very much values that hard work, physical kind of football. Hence why Decore keeps getting into the side. Hence why Patterson doesn't get in over Young. He wants the experience. He's pragmatic. So look, we could do it, especially with the freaking group in. I don't think Dyche would take full advantage of that.
Yeah. Here we go, Barry. What do you got? Bloody Wolf football. That how on earth we got a point is beyond me. We got lucky. That's how we got a point. Coming in, I thought this was an opportunity for us to get 3 points. I think by about half, I realized we would be lucky to walk out with a point, and I think that's where we were. What was your prediction coming in, Corey? What did you think was going to happen? You're
gonna think I'm chatting while me, but I had 1-1.
Did you really?
Yeah, I was talking to one of the boys in work yesterday, fantasy football, and he said he forgot to put Pickford in the team, and I said, don't worry, honestly, I see Fulham score and they've got a good attack. So hence why I said I'd have been happy with the draw earlier.
Yeah.
Sorry about this, guys. The signal is absolutely wonderful.
No, you're fine. I love that your lighting right now is very Halloween-esque.
Yes. Well, I think the more Halloween elements of that are the fact that Liverpool drivers and the standard of driving is awful. I would shame somebody who's driving a Range Rover with the registration number for being. Should I do it, Mubsy? No, we won't. But there you go. Never mind. Yeah, but I think it was symptomatic of the football game. They were taking charge, and there was very little we could do because we weren't getting protection from the referee, and there was again sort of an element of double standards. Now, it's just we can't sit back and allow ourselves to be. We're allowing ourselves to get dominated, and it's not right. I don't think.
Yeah. So you're with Mabsy?
Hi.
Mate, what'd you think?
We didn't deserve a point, let's be honest, at all for the time. DCL brought nothing to the table. We were better when Beto and came on, and then Michael Keane went up front as well, which said in the pre-match. Actually, so yeah, it is what it is. Didn't deserve it. Good goal by Beto. But I haven't seen the offside by DC.
The goal in the 31st
and the
minute.
31st. What was it actually offside?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the first angle you seen, he looked borderline, but the second angle you can see he was probably half a yard, maybe a yard offside.
Fine margins. Yeah.
Typical fucking VAR.
I mean, it was typical. I mean, I don't want to be the misery junction here, but I was saying it was going to be Iwobi that scored, didn't I? Oh no, or maybe that was with Mike earlier. Yeah, it's that's the
going to be Iwobi, wasn't it?
Yeah. Either that or Harrison Reed, a player that can't even jump up to. Never mind.
No, go. Don't stop yourself.
No, because I'm not going to randomly insult the guy. His style of football is so horrible. Every time he plays him, I hate him. But having said that, if he was on the Everton team, I'd probably love him.
That's always the case. I
don't know. Neil Mopey.
Yeah, Yann, what were the bright spots today? I think from the comments and from we're all on here saying that we look pretty terrible. What were your bright spots?
How
was
the fact that we got a point and we didn't deserve it? I don't know, the fact that we saw some more positive substitutions than we have done previously. We saw Branthwaite come back. I don't know. Are they positive? They're certainly not.
Yeah, Do you drop DCL for the next game at Southampton?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't think Sean Dyche will. If you're looking to,
No,
I mean,
definitely not.
if you're looking to sell Beto in January, which I think they are, I mean, this was
No,
a
I
good
think he's had
start.
to remove, hasn't he? Because he's not getting the game time, which is right. He should be getting it.
Yeah, so
I don't think.
I mean, you showcase him, don't you?
Yeah.
Wow. Are you seriously? Oh my God. There's a whole, like, when you're driving 2 lanes, there's a zipper system 1-to-1. I'm sorry. I'm just about to get out of this car and literally just murder a motherfucker. Yeah. But are we ever going to see 2 up front? Because we put McNeil in that position, the number 10 today. Do you not think that altered the it gave something, but it took too much away?
Yeah, they just all seemed very vanilla, very neutered, as opposed to last week against Ipswich. Let's see what we got. Any good comments here? Beto scoring. That's about it. Yeah, that's about it. All right, hey Levy, here your comments. Do we want the Beto for DCL swap for next week out against Southampton? Real quick, you are watching Follow Everton. We have about 200 of you on, so thank you for joining us. Post match, joined by Corey and Yann. Corey, should we go around the lineup and start scoring? Where would you like to start? I think I'm gonna get depressed otherwise.
Yeah, of course. Start from the keeper. I don't think Pickford had a bad game. Obviously, the goal he probably should have done better with, but I wouldn't mark him down for that. It was a pretty bog standard game for Jordan Pickford. He was let down a little bit by his defence, so I'd give him a 6.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. What did you think about?
Yeah,
Pickford
same.
today?
I was going to say 6 or 7. There's not very much. The only thing I would fault at times, which was probably the frustration because he had nobody to, and he'd have risked giving the ball away, is that he didn't have the urgent distribution that we've seen previously. But then again, that's reliant on players giving him options, so you can't fault him. 6, 7. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
seen him
he
from
had
you seen him when the ball went out of play or offside. He rolled the ball out, and he's literally trying to find someone to pass to, and there's no one to go. We're only going long ball, so he's stuck there waiting for us to get an attacking line, so he can play long ball to one of the big lads up top. So and we know that he's got the ability to wrap his foot around the actual ball.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He had a wonderful delivery to Endai late in that second half that I guess was just I was close to onside, but just ruled off. I would have loved to see if Endai would have been able to do something with that one. Yeah, I'll go with 6 for Jordan Pickford as well. Let's start with our center halves. Michael Keane started up top today, or in the back, in place of Jared Branthwaite. I thought Michael Keane was actually probably the better of the two, at least in the first half. Corey, what was your thoughts on Michael Keane today?
Yeah, you're correct. I think it's becoming a bit of a pattern at the moment, isn't it? That he's the better of the two between him and Tahi. Again, not pulling up any stees. Another 6, another 6.5 maybe. Just for him being the better of the two centre halves.
Yeah. How did you rate him when he went up to centre forward to pair with Beto?
Not fantastic, but he's playing in the top 2, and let's be honest, it's not his actual position. So his tactical awareness and compared to what Beto was, he just seemed a little bit off. The chemistry, the link up wasn't there. So look, it's not really a comment on his performance, because again, it's probably a tactical, not really understanding each other kind of thing.
Yeah. Hey, Yann, does it concern you that Michael Keane seems to be playing better than James Tarkowski at this point? I think we're losing him.
Sorry.
I'm going to pull you down. All right, we're going to let him get his internet straightened. I'll ask you the same question, though, Corey. Do we need to be concerned long-term about James Tarkowski?
Not particularly. We've said previously that if Branthwaite comes in, he inspires a lot more confidence. He can play a higher line. So until he's tried with his usual centre-back pair and maybe someone that doesn't make Tarkowski think twice, then I wouldn't put full judgment on him. I'd reserve that till he plays with Branthwaite again consistently.
Yeah. So what do you give Tarkowski out of 10?
Tarkowski, 5, 4.5.
5. Yeah,
Poor game.
I think so.
I'll give him a 5 because I don't want to be harsh. We got a point.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right. We'll go to the fullbacks. Hey, we talked about Mikalenko a little bit. He had a tough assignment trying to stay with Traore today. He's an absolute beast and just has moments of real spectacular play. What did you think of Mikalenko today? I thought he held his own for the most part. He did try to get forward. He did try to get balls in. They were not the best best balls you've ever seen. That's probably delivery is not really his foray or forte, but he did okay. What'd you think about Vitaly Mikalenko today?
Yeah, Mikalenko, good. Like I said before, solid game. Maybe just about squeezes a 7 out of a 6.5, so 7. Defensively, very, very strong. I thought he was having a really tough task today against Adama Traore. It's not what we're typically seeing of him defending well against. He does well against them inside forwards cutting in because he's not got the pace. But I thought he held his line really, really well, stood him up, didn't jump in. It is just his delivery that lets him down.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm hesitant to give anyone a really good score just because I was so displeased with the overall effort today. So I'm going to say a 6, but I don't think he did. He certainly didn't do anything to hurt Everton and did probably more on the positive side than I think a lot of people out there. Ashley Young, I'm so ready for the Ashley Young experience to be over. I can appreciate that, yes, he's a professional. Yes, he's always ready. He's a good role model to the young players. He's never hurt. He's a steady head. All the cliches. I can appreciate that, but that doesn't mean I want to keep seeing it. How much longer, Corey, do we have to continue to deal with Ashley Young outright, especially now that Seamus Coleman is fit, Nathan Patterson is fit, Roman Dixon looks like he deserves minutes. How much longer for Ashley Young, do you think?
Till Dyche goes in the summer.
Really?
Yeah, it's as simple as that. I would say, look, Ashley Young has done quite well, and his composure to cushion that ball back for better was brilliant. But like you've said, he's very limited by his age, by his lack of experience in that position. He's a winger or wing back. I'm happy with what he's done for us. It's not his fault that he's being put in and he's being exposed at times. So I don't have any any ill will towards Ashley Young. Honestly, I actually thank him for everything that he's done. But he should be a squad player. Sorry to talk about a cop-out, but if you think about how the Reds had Milner, he could play a lot of positions, a pro, agent, which meant he really struggled at times. He could be exposed, but they only played him when they needed him to patch a hole. And then he was very much appreciated by the Liverpool fans. And like Flash has said there, he's not getting tired during the games because of his legs. Bring him on when you need to reassure things, you need to patch some holes. And the fans would really, really appreciate him for that. They probably appreciate him more than they do when he's being hung out to dry on the right back position.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he'd be much more effective in 20-minute bursts rather than. I mean, he was on the pitch for 96 minutes today. That's way too young, way too long for a 39-year-old. That's probably not Premier League quality at this point anymore. All right, let's try him again. Still in the car. Yann, how much longer do we have to endure the Ashley Young?
Good evening.
Haven't moved.
Can you hear us?
I think Ashley Young. Well, if his longevity on the pitch is anything to go by, yeah, I don't know. Look, the issue is, realistically, who would you pick for him above him at the moment, considering for some reason there seems to be some mystery illness ongoing thing with Patterson and Coleman is not quite fit. So
that's got to be it. That's got to be it. There has to be something more with Seamus that we're not hearing. That for Sean Dyche not to give Seamus the opportunity, even in limited minutes, is a little concerning. I would think.
It does make me think that. I mean, the players reach a certain age. Sorry.
Hello.
I was going to say players.
Oh, right under.
Okay. Hello.
Congratulations, Ryan.
Thank you.
Congrats.
Who we got here then?
We'll have to come round. I'll have to come round and see the baby sometime.
We're not even out of the hospital yet.
I know, that's ridiculous.
I want to talk about this match. I want to give you a phone-in style. I want to say a couple more things because
Let's hear it.
I've been listening to you, and I'm an hour behind. Well, probably not an hour, but I'm up to a bit where Corey came in, and he inspired me. And I thought, I know you're probably not even talking about it anymore, and you're talking about Mabsy, his sage green wallpaper. But
What?
I just want to say about. I feel like a caller. Coming on Radio Merseyside. Fulham. You know, when I think about actually what did happen today with that performance, Fulham had the intensity, Fulham had the aggression, Fulham were winning the duels, Fulham were willing to run off the ball, Fulham were willing to mix their game up, and then when Everton would get it, I just felt we were second best. The Fulham centre backs bullied us. The midfield was willing to make runs, and I don't quite understand why it took so long to make changes. You mean, you're looking at that match, and I think it took 75 minutes to have a shot on target. We were just completely outclassed. To come away from a point is daylight robbery.
Yeah, apart from a couple of good chances over the 10, 15 minutes spelt in the first half, we were completely lame. We were limp. As soon as they scored that goal, I thought you could turn it off now, and you're not going to see us do anything else from that point onwards.
How close was
the biggest injustice for me? But before you discuss that, right? One thing I want to say is how, like, when it encapsulated the entire game that Iwobi could walk through the entire pitch, as happened 2 or 3 times. It almost looked like schoolyard football at times, when I thought, oh my God, they are going to get from a few moments of relative nothingness, even though they dominated the game or we didn't turn up. Felt like they could have just walked through us 3 or 4 times, got 3 or 4 goals, won 3 or 4-0, and it would have been embarrassing. And I'm thankful that it wasn't. But it was just symptomatic that we weren't. It was like, oh, there are 3 Fulham players coming to challenge me for the ball now. I'll just dance around. I won't support the other guy. Oh, we had no option but to go backwards. It was embarrassing.
Yeah, this looked more like Tottenham and Brighton to start the season than I think we've seen as of late.
Can I say? I think Decore in midfield is an experiment that hasn't quite worked. I'll be honest with you, and I don't want to be mean because I do get the fact that he can give you that run from midfield, but on the ball, he's not top level. He did stop a certain goal, so I can't be critical, and it's very difficult.
We lost him.
We lost him.
Apparently, it's too difficult.
Yeah, he's making a great point. We just can't hear it, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's like Everton. I'm sure the training and the tactics are wonderful. We're just not seeing
it. He is right, though. It is all very symptomatic. The fact that it's very Sean Dyche in that he wants the physical presence in, and we're sacrificing a lot of technical ability just to have the corner in and his physical presence, when in reality that lack of tacticalness puts us under pressure in our own half.
Because the number of times, you're right, he has that wild element that if he's not supported or surrounded in the right way, it created multiple liabilities today. There were a number of times that he lost the ball or he went in for a tackle. And yes, of course, there were times when he did make some last-ditch things, but it swings and roundabouts. And, you could argue that maybe those last-minute saves are only as a result of the whole game where he contributes to allowing Fulham to have that freedom unchecked.
Yeah, you're right. He's an agent of chaos. He's a good player to throw on if you're in desperate need of something. He's the last roll of the dice that you put on, in my mind. You need players who are a lot more assured on the ball in the Premier League, especially when you've got teams that want to press and put you under pressure at such pace like Fulham do. You need to be able to control the ball, and where you can't, you need to be able to clear it, put it in a corner where you can do something with it.
And we're back with Ryan. His point.
Hello. The point I was making was, because we had Keane in the team, the defence had to be deeper. And your midfield needs to be up to try and press alongside the front 4. And that created huge gaps for Fulham just to basically pick us off and run through the midfield. Their ball carrying was superb. Their movement and passing was superb. And that's the problem tactically in that match. And does Jared Branthwaite solve that issue? Because then everyone can squeeze and be a bit more uniform.
Yeah, certainly. I think you're correct, mate. Spot on.
Well, I think I don't know if
Ryan,
I think
is that it?
I'm waiting for him to speak.
I know, so am I.
Yeah. I was trying to make a point, and then Yann jumped in.
Yeah,
I want to know about that DCL one, because when I saw it, it didn't look offside. He looked level. Was it a thing?
was
so
close.
they showed a second angle from the other side, and you could see from that side he was about half a yard off.
That's just
Yeah,
typical,
but Gay's
isn't it? You can't
shot
catch a
was
break.
Gay's shot was even closer than I realized when I first saw it live. He hit the bottom of the post and nearly put it in.
Yeah, fantastic bit of dip on the shot. Like, I thought it was going to hit the back of Leno and go in. I was surprised when it ended up with his feet.
Can I just I don't know if you guys have talked about it for people who are watching, and Chad, I'm guessing that you haven't had this wonderful opportunity. Corey and well, Mabsy will know, and a lot of people watching will know this. But one thing that was very, very sad about today, not just the lovely little touching thing, that young lad running around the pitch for his sister who raising money for Zoe's place, fantastic, and it wasn't just because it's the closest home game to Remembrance Sunday. But for me, it's a special one. They're a bit special because we won't have many more of them. Although it wasn't midweek, it was an evening game. And to me, there's something always so very magical and wonderful about being a Goodison in the dark with the floodlight. And as much as I'm looking forward to Bramley Moor, and it will be incredible, there's nothing quite like Goodison in the evening.
So why was the performance so flat? Why was the atmosphere looking so hostile and flat?
It wasn't at the start. The fans seemed pretty loud towards the start. They were up for it, but pretty quickly we just sank back, and that's what's happening. Is this regressive football is draining the fans essentially.
It's regressive. I'm just going to say one thing. I'm going to be positive and give you one bit of positivity. Okay. If you'd have asked me after the first 4 matches, would we have 3 draws and 2 wins? I probably would have snapped your hand off, because we were losing every match, and we weren't just losing them. We were losing them in a kamikaze style. But I think what we've got to be careful of was today, that performance was reminiscent of the first 4 matches. The only difference was Fulham didn't have that clinical cutting edge to cut us off and finish us off, because if Fulham had won that 3-0, I think we would all be hopping mad and going, they probably deserved it, and calling for the manager's head.
And also you bear in mind, that's a very good point, because a few years ago we were winning games that we didn't have any right to at times, and going, well, it swings and roundabouts in football, and so hopefully now it might be the right kind of so take them when we can get them, especially on that.
And now I'm going to be extremely negative and throw the other side of it. What are we paying Sean Dyche to do when all he's doing is, if his bright idea is to throw a centre half up front and lump it long? Sorry, but what are we working on on the training ground?
He just wants us to be keep our shape, doesn't he? Which we're struggling to do as well. He is literally employed just to keep us up. Which, look, that is the bare minimum, but it shouldn't be what we should be aspiring to. Especially after last season, he should want to get us playing on the front foot, aggressive football, and actually taking the game to teams. But he's just playing for draws at times. When we scored that goal, we should have gone forward and tried to get another one. We just dropped straight back again. So he's just trying to keep us in 17th place.
Because that's symptomatic of when the style of play, like what tactics are we seeing when there's no real deception and movement, apart from a few moments with like Ndai and Irabunam and these new players that have this urgency and desire, right? Like as you said before, Decore, and okay, it might not be entirely his fault, but we were leaving these huge. Most of the game, the centre of midfield was completely absent and vacant, and allowed them to run through. And yeah, like you said, there's no real movement, and that was it. When Lindstrom took a corner, I was like, someone was going, "Go on, good ball." I was like, "Oh, he's got to beat the first man," and he didn't. And it's not that I'm criticising the guy, but it just goes. It's symptomatic of Everton all the time.
Nerves.
My concern with Dyche is that he could poison the well because of his pragmatic approach and his insistence on only keeping us up. what
no,
does that do to the overall mentality of this team moving forward? It just leads to a very conservative, risk-adverse side that plays boring football and is never going to win the majority of their games, unfortunately. So I feel like as long as Sean Dyche is the manager of Everton, we're going to continue to get performances like this over and over.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Okay, Gilbert O'Sullivan. The thing is, he today obviously went with Keane, and it's all about, for him, in his brain, man management.
I'm gonna have to go, guys. Have a good one.
Shabbat shalom.
Keep going, Ryan.
I'm parking up now. I'm parking up. I'm jumping in this stream now for 5 minutes.
Spot on, rock and roll. Do you want us to continue while you park up, mate? There you go.
There he is.
Go on, mate.
Nice and
As you were
bright
saying,
now.
right, sorry, mate.
Yeah, were you making a point?
Was I?
Yeah, I think you were talking, didn't you?
Yeah, you were mid-talk before Yann went by.
What was I talking about? I can't even remember what I was talking
You're talking about Sean Dyche and just, I think, his style.
It's not very pleasant, is it? As I said before, what epitomizes it for me is that pass where it goes to Ashley Young, and he tries to play a very straight, long ball. Almost, he does try and whip it in behind, but the defenders outnumber the forwards, and they almost always have a 75 to 80% chance of just sweeping that up. And then even if we get it, here's the thing. Calvert-Lewin gets the ball, holds it up. Let's say that's the scenario. The midfield are frightened to go and really go close to him, because if Calvert-Lewin doesn't win it, everyone's out of shape, and Fulham just turn you over on the break, the counter-attack. So how do you find that balance? I know he's going into the sort of those corner areas because percentage-wise, it's less risk. It's more likely to go out for a throw. But you could see it wasn't working, and I think I sold my ticket for today. But I would be really irritated, and I think coming out with a draw, it feels like a win because of the scenario. But when we analyse it like this, you actually think, hang on a minute, that wasn't very good, and there wasn't really a plan until the last 10 minutes to actually do something.
Yeah.
No possession.
It's all indicative. The main talking point we're talking about is Don being isolated, us being too defensive, the fact that Keane's playing, and the fact that Decore had a poor game, Ashley Young as well at times. It's not each one of them's issue. They're all a symptom of the same issue, which is us being far too negative, far too pragmatic. We don't have a man in that midfield who's going to get the ball and spin around. We don't have that pivot that Onana was, who could get the ball and play it in a tight area and start a counter-attack. We don't have players who have got pace running past Calvert-Lewin, like you said, Rai. It's all the same issue. They're all symptoms of that same issue.
Well, Corey, what's the solve then? You're going to be on the preview show for Southampton. What's the solve? What can we do moving forward?
Apart from a new manager, which I don't think is the correct decision without anyone in place, and especially probably with the change in ownership coming up, it's just mindset. Dyche isn't going to do that, but you just need to get the mindset in for the players that don't just go long, be a bit braver. Someone comes short to get the ball, change your movements up. We're far too static. We're far too slow. Like I said, we're far too pragmatic. It is purely mindset. And we know the players can play. We've seen some good passages of play from them. That 10, 15 minutes where we played really well, and we looked like we could carve through Fulham. We just don't have the mindset, and we decide not to.
Mm-hmm. I think you hit the point that we are slow. There's just no pace in this team. There's no pace at fullback. There's no pace in the midfield. I just don't know. I don't know if the tools are even there to play in any other fashion. Sorry, Ryan, I just talked over you. What were you going to say?
No, you're spot on. It's also difficult when you look at Ndiaye and you think, I need this player to be in the box. I need him close to the goal, but actually I need him out of the box because I need this guy to run past someone and make something happen. I think probably the weakest area is that central midfield at the moment for me. I think there is a problem there. We haven't got a real strong midfielder in there who can take the ball under pressure and make things happen. And so I think the Decore experiment doesn't work unless you are in a game where you are having a lot of the ball and he can make late runs and not be at risk of being out of position. I think in a game like this where Fulham are just so very good at keeping the ball, so very good at running off you, around you, through you, and dynamic. And I think if Fulham had a real top striker, they would go far, and possibly just a genuine elite central defender. For me, the problem today, as I said to you before, if Jared Branthwaite is in that team, the defence is 10 yards further up. It's more compact, close to the midfield. Fulham don't have enough space to play around through us and around and be as progressive. I just believe that. I don't have an issue with Keane. He hasn't done anything wrong in these last 5 matches. But it changes the way you play when you have pace, you have a left footer, you have someone willing to engage who wins most of his duels. And it's just unfortunate now for Keane that he's started to come good, just as ironic as he's in jeopardy of losing his place. And let's give some credit to Marco Silva as well, because he's doing a fantastic job. And actually, possibly we need to look at it as the fact we lost the last 3 times Fulham came to Goodison. We actually got something today. Just to highlight here, I think Chad was aware of it. Just thank you, Mr. Toffees. He's been a patron, donating to the cause. StreamYard actually cost me $45 a month now. Pretty expensive. So all the memberships are going into a pot, which does actually help run the channel. So if anyone wants to do that, you can click the join button and do it. But over to Chad, who's our host for today.
Yeah, well said, Ryan. So you're watching Follow Everton. Thank you for your time coming off of the 1-1 draw that is Everton Fulham. I think for if you're just joining us, we are aware that Everton look like shit, but we are talking about it nonetheless, trying to get to the bottom of it. We actually, I think our scores were interrupted midway point. So let's get back to that. What Corey, did we touch on Idrissa Gana Gueye? I know earlier we both said that he was probably our bright spot of the match, but where do you have Idrissa Gana Gueye today?
Yeah, so again, we don't want to give too high scores. Whereas I thought Mikalenko was 6.5, 7, I think Idrissa Gana Gueye was maybe a 7.5. I genuinely think he had a solid game today. He was the one midfielder who done something. He was making up for Decore's lack of composure defensively and also on the ball. 7.5. He was our best player today. And if the rest of the team played like he did, we'd probably come out of that with a win or disappointed to draw.
Yeah, Ryan, did you see like that?
Yeah, Garner was winning his duels. He was also press resistant. Some of the passes into him were like, why are you giving him it in this position? He's got 2 players around him. He's going to give it away. And he just showed that experience and his ability to keep the ball under pressure, keep possession, didn't give it away, won the tackles. I think what Garner needs, unfortunately, what's not going to happen given his age, is if he just had speed. You know, this guy would be an absolute monster because he's just lacking the legs. And so the task for Kevin Thelwell is, for me, I want 2 new fullbacks long term. I want Gana Gueye's replacement. If that's Timur Abunam, great, but find the new Garner and, of course, another Iliman Ndiaye, because I think when you have one superstar like that, it's only a matter of time before he starts thinking, why am I playing with all these shit players? Get someone else in there on that same wavelength and let him enjoy his football, because there's nothing worse than being a footballer where you have to drag an entire team up its standards, and unfortunately at the moment he is. But yeah, Garner's definitely worth the 7.5 because he did his job, and you know that midfield is just too open. It's too open.
I agree. Without jumping ahead too much, we'll get to Jack Harrison. But off of your point on Iliman Ndiaye is going to look around and just think he's on an island here with very little support. Although Dwayne McNeil has been better this season than I think we've seen over the course of his stay at Everton. But imagine what this team would look like if we had someone who was actually able to, I don't know, beat a man one-on-one along the right side. It was able to get a cross in with his right foot. I think that one shot that Harrison took, he tried to hit it first time with his right, and it was miles off. I think that was the point where Sean Dyche was like, no, we can't do this anymore. He was absolutely non-existent today.
Jack Harrison, okay. Listen, I didn't see the first 25 minutes of the match today for various reasons, but So I didn't see him, but I've been very critical of Jack Harrison. I've also been very critical of Michael Keane. And I'm sure you shredded the defence to bits for the goal because they were like a bunch of statues on Crosby Beach. But I've been critical of Keane, Young and Harrison. Young has been playing very, very well. Michael Keane has also been playing well. Come back after not being able to win a header and just getting bullied in matches. But just for the benefit of this, Harrison today took 2 steps back because in the other games, we saw him on the right. We know this guy is not beating anyone for pace. We know he is also not going to dribble past someone, as Rainbringer says there. So what can Jack offer you on the right? If you're not going to beat someone for pace and you're not going to dribble past, it is simply work a position to cut in on your left and get a deep cross into the back post. Now, he has done that twice in recent matches. Both times have led to goals. Today, there was an inability to provide any service. I thought McNeil was also quiet, and Lindstrom, as you said, was the right decision to bring him on for Jack, who would get a very low rating. But I think Lindstrom is another that is a number 10. He is the player with the eyes and the vision to open up the pitch, but possibly, again, is another that doesn't naturally want to go down the right and beat someone for pace. So finding the balance is key. And I think the 4-2-3-1 would make sense still. Lindstrom and Harrison and McNeil, one of 3 of those 4 rotating. But I think the right side is still presents as the weakest of the sort of the 3 or 2 or whatever players behind the forward. And Jack Harrison, I feel sorry for him. I don't know. Is he just in the wrong position? Is he just too left-footed? But when he played for Leeds, he scored 8 goals on the right side. So in 1 year.
When he played for Leeds, he had a right back in Luke Ayling who, although he wasn't fast, wanted to get up the pitch. He overlapped. And if you've got a player who comes in on their left, if they're not rapid, then you need an overlapping fullback to drag the defender across. Because if the fullback's not being dragged across, all he does, he knows that Harrison's going to go on the left. He just sits there and then just goes, go on, just come in to watch me, or I'll send you down the right. I've got you covered. Especially someone as pacey as Anthony Robinson. Football's all about creating them spaces. That's what Pep does. He creates overloads and diversions. We don't do that. Dyche doesn't want his fullbacks going too far.
In fairness, Young has done nothing wrong, so there's no call for Dixon, there's no call for Patterson, and there's no call for Coleman there. And also, he's got assists and he's contributed to the attack and defended well. And I am the first to criticise him as Willy Wonka at right back. But, he could get forward more, but what's restricting him is you're compensating for Decore there. You can't deal with... Oh, that's nice. Decore being... Thank you. That's very good. Thanks, Rick, for becoming a VIP. Because Decore's in there, your fullbacks, you have to be disciplined and deep in a shape of the 4 or have 3 back. But if Decore is swapped with an out-and-out defensive midfielder who can get on the ball and start attacks, then why can't your fullbacks get forward knowing they've got someone behind them who mops up?
Yeah, you're correct. Go on, Chad, mate.
I'm distracting you. I've distracted you so much. You're trying to do player rating. I'm literally talking about Jack Dixon.
There's no rules. There's no rules here. I wanted to give a shot to Rick for joining and just let everyone know that, as Ryan mentioned, this is just a stronger endeavor for us to put, or not a stronger, a more expensive endeavor for us to put on. So please, if you enjoy the content, we're just here trying to do this for you. Become a member, help support us so we can continue to do this for you.
At the moment, it's costing me personally around £500 a year to do this out of my own pocket. So, it is appreciated for people to chip in. That's all it is. We're not making money. This isn't a business. This is just you paying. We give our time. So don't add insult to injury and maybe have to pay for it as well.
Yeah, that's right. I don't understand why Jack Harrison is at Everton. We had this experience with him last year. He went back to Leeds, had the choice to come back. He knew he wasn't going to play on the left side. I don't understand why Jack Harrison and his representatives let him come back to Everton, where he was never going to be put into an advantageous position that would allow him to make that big next step or make more money with his next move. So I guess I feel bad that Jack Harrison is kind of wasting away at Everton. I think
he's on 100,000 a year, by the way.
Is he really? I think there's a player in there. He's technically.
I met his mum's. I met a friend of his mum's recently working in Leeds, He said, "Where are you from?" I said, "Liverpool." He said, "Oh, I know Jack Harrison. I've known him since he was a boy." And I said, we were just talking about him, and I said, "How much was he on?" He was on £90,000 last year, and his contract was incremental at Leeds, up to 100,000. We not paid a loan fee, but we cover every penny of his wages. But in all honesty, I don't think he's worth 5 million a year to us. Because if all you're asking him to do is basically play like a right back and run around, and kind of be defensively disciplined, surely, I don't know, Dixon in the academy could do the same thing and do what Coleman did when he first came through. Look, I'm being overly harsh on Jack. I think possibly he needs to be on the left, but you can't drop and die. Injuries are going to dictate what happens moving forward. McNeil, if he's injured, could present an opportunity for Lindstrom to go in there. Jack on the left. There's different things you can do. But again, I've distracted you.
That's right.
Flash the Originals asking where the join button is. A lot of people are confused and actually don't understand how to do it. On some devices, unfortunately, you can only see subscribe. You can't see join. If you're on a web browser, i.e. Chrome, Safari, Firefox, one of those, and go to youtube.com/follow Everton/join, or just onto the Follow Everton page, it will show up on a desktop as join. Okay, and some Android devices. So if you can do that, Flash, that would be appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can we give a shout out to Jack Harrison's mom though? Like, she seems in the clips I've seen of her, she seems wonderful. All right, we got off our player ratings. Let's go back to Abdoulaye Doucouré before we score Jack Harrison. I'm tired of seeing Abdoulaye Doucouré in the squad. I wish they wouldn't have renewed his contract or brought him back for another year. He is a squad player at best for me, someone that can maybe fill in at the number 10 spot. But Ryan, is there anything left? Does he have anything else left to give Everton at this point? And what would you score him today?
I would have Jack on a free transfer as a squad player if I had 6 other wingers and you needed squad depth. Relying on him as a first choice option hasn't worked on the right. I don't think he was ever truly a right winger. I haven't seen... Look, I was promised a player that would cut in on his left and score goals, would get in the box and finish on his left foot, would be able to drive and run and so direct and so dynamic and so hard-working. And all I see is a player who gets out-muscled, out-crowded, out-thought, and I am disappointed, in all honesty.
What about Doucouré? How did you think Doucouré looked today?
Doucouré saved a goal with his reading of the game. But I just think I almost feel like he's a player that's better off the ball than on it. If you don't give him the ball, he looks good. He knows where to be, either in the box or in his own box. But then when you've got to give him to do something with it, every pass looks like he's sandwiched, like he's playing golf and he's hitting it with a club. It's never a clean, precise, quality sort of level of distribution. And then his tackling, he's kamikaze. He runs around the pitch like a bit of a headless chicken at times, Doucouré. I think we were guilty as a team, and not to signal Doucouré out. Maybe he was, because he was wasn't being disciplined or wasn't doing the right things. Maybe he was forward too much, gambling on us winning the ball and getting caught out. But the overall shape was so difficult. The last 30 minutes, which I had more of an eye on due to work, but it just looked like every time Fulham would get the ball, it was almost like end to end. It was like a cup match, extra time, and both teams needed to win because there was no penalties and golden goal style. Why are we like that at home? We should be, when we haven't got the ball, we should just be so ruthless and organised and defensive, and then we open them up. We make them come onto us and get out of position and out of shape. And I think Doucouré, it's not a good performance. I feel difficult to pass comment because I missed the first 25 minutes and I had kind of one eye on other things. But when I did see him, I just was like, what are you doing? You're just like all over the place. You're not in the right position. They're running off you. You're losing the duels. But then he saved that goal. I'm like, fucking hell. Imagine if he'd been subbed off for Mangala, which is what I was calling for, and Fulham score.
Yeah, you didn't miss anything in those 25 minutes. I can assure you.
No, I do have to go in a minute, by the way, because I'm going to the hospital. I've got to drive back from York, so I'll do the next one with Corey, and then I'm going to listen in.
That sounds good. Corey, where are you going to score at Doucouré?
Doucouré, 4 out of 10. I thought he was really poor. Apart from that one bit where he saved us, fantastic, yeah. But he was really poor today, and he put us in a lot of trouble. Not always ended up resulting in a Fulham chance, but a lot of the times he put us under a lot of pressure. He's probably one of our worst players today, certainly. Worst of a bad bunch.
Yeah, I agree with you. We didn't give Jack a score. Let's put a number on Jack real quick. I think we probably said everything there is to say about Jack Harrison and his mother. But Corey, what did you?
Sorry,
Corey,
mate.
what do you
Tickle
think
me.
about? What do you think about Jack Harrison? What's your score?
You know what? He seemed okay at times in the first half. I don't think he played terribly. Didn't give us much. But again, I do feel a lot of that is tactically, and the fact you're pairing him up against someone as pacey as Anthony Robinson, he's not going to be able to go outside of him. It's not his game. The second half, though, he just got worse and worse, went further and further out of the game. That volley probably summed it all up. It's probably why he got taken off. He probably should have been taken off about 5-10 minutes earlier.
Yeah. Maybe we abstain from the rating on him, but Corey, just coming in on that, and I'm going to jump in on this last point. If I was a right winger and I knew I didn't have the pace to get around you and I didn't have the speed or the thought to get to do something, I would probably pull off him. I would probably be coming away from Robinson and dragging Robinson in with me, playing in little half spaces, bringing Robinson away to create space for someone else. Maybe McNeil makes runs across into the space that is vacated. Maybe the fullback bombs on around into the space. So if Robinson is dragged in with Harrison, and Young goes around, it causes real problems for Fulham. But Harrison is like, he wants to hook the touchline, but he's so left-footed. I think he should be willing to kind of take the ball in between midfield and defence, turn, keep it moving. If he knows he can't beat you for pace and can't beat you for skill, find something else to do to disrupt them today with your movement, with the areas you're picking up the ball in the pockets. But with Jack Harrison, I don't know if you've ever seen Looney Tunes, but he reminds me of Roadrunner. His legs are so fast. He's almost like he's trying to keep up with himself. But nothing really comes at the end of it. And I really want him to do well because you can tell his attitude is spot on and his commitment is there. So I just think maybe Sean Dyche needs to do some more work with him tactically. Can we get him maybe in the box on the back? No, the back post didn't work today. So ignore me. But
I think personally, if we were to
drop out and listen, I love you guys.
In a bit, mate. Have a good one. So in regards to Harrison, I think personally it would have been better to bring him in the middle because he's small, he's nifty, he will get in and around Dom, and then just try something different. If you want to bring out Ndiaye onto the right, he's tricky. He's got a little bit more pace than Harrison, but even without the pace, he will make Anthony Robinson think. He will draw him in and then beat him. Not for pace, but on the outstep. So even something like that, I think, would have helped us later on in the game. If you're not making any choices, is to just swap them three around because all three of them can play on the left, on the right, in the middle. And it's clear that what we were doing wasn't working. Jack Harrison was not having the best of days, never getting past Anthony Robinson. So just change it up, bring him in the middle. I think he would have probably done a better job than McNeil did in the middle today.
Yeah, I agree. He was invisible. He was invisible. Well, let's go over to the other side because this is my question for you. Iliman Ndiaye did not register a shot on goal, at least not to my recollection. I don't want us to put him in a position where he's not able to affect the game. And I felt like there were long stretches today where he was not able to affect the game. So moving him over to the right side, do we risk kind of messing up what has worked previously, although not very well today? Do we risk that, or is it a gamble that we should probably consider because it might pay off? Yeah,
it's not something I'd be doing from the start of the game. I think it's quite evident he wants to be out and hug the touchline and bring players in. He's stronger, cutting inside on his right foot to where his goals have come from. So I wouldn't do it from the start of the game. But in a game like today, where it's clear that what we were doing was not working, then that roll of the dice, that trying something different, even, like I said, just making the defenders think that they've got to do something different as opposed to the same job they've done, that can give you that little bit of edge, even if it's for 5-10 minutes. You're just keeping them on the toes.
Yeah, I agree. Peter here grades him a 6 out of 10. What number do you slot him in at, Corey?
Give him a 6.5. His ball in is what led to the goal. Obviously, he'd done well on the left-hand side. He was under a bit of pressure, gained and made the space for himself, and then whipped that ball in with his right foot, which is dangerous. He's got a good he's got a good ball in from that left-hand side. That is what led to the ball forward to Young to better win the goal. So give him props for that. I'd give him more than a 6. I see Pete's giving a 6, which is completely understandable. I'd give him a 6.5 because, again, he tried to affect the game, and ultimately he did to an extent.
Yeah, I'm going to say a 7 only because he does continue to offer that threat. And here's TJ, they doubled and tripled up on Ndai. He was very isolated. He is able to draw that attention away that hopefully allows other people to shine in other moments of the game. It did not happen today for the most part. But yeah, I thought Iliman Ndai, he's my favorite player in the team right now. So I'm probably gonna be a little generous to him and say a 7. Peter beat me to it over here with Dwight McNeil, a 1 out of 10. I don't know if I can give you a 1 out of 10. But no, Dwight McNeil did not have a very strong game today. He's been a bright spot this season so far. I thought he's been very good. I don't know if the central position is where his long-term future is, but he seems to be making a difference in this setup. Corey, what did you think of Dwight today?
He's poor. We've give Taki a 4. We've give Decore a 4. I'll give McNeil another 4 as well. Very, very poor. I think somewhat at fault for the goal because he was very, very half-heartedly trying to stop Smith Rowe. Just kind of didn't get up to any kind of speed, stuck his hands out as if to try and push him. He looked like he couldn't be bothered at times. I think that's an issue, is where the balance goes in the central midfield. We've seen that today. He can be great on the ball when he at his best, as is exemplified by his goal contribution so far this season. But at his worst, which is what we've seen today, he's not only ineffective, but he's absent. He's invisible.
We have not mentioned his near goal on a rocket of a header. I can't remember who put that ball into him, but it was a nice opportunity. Nearly scored. I'm probably gonna say a 3 or 4 for Dwight. I think we need more. Unfortunately, we're in a position where we need better games out of Dwight McNeil. And if you're a Premier League side and you need good games out of Dwight McNeil, you're probably not going to win very many games. Ryan's reminding us, hey, subscribe, please subscribe if you can. Subscribe, follow us. You'll be alerted to when we go live. We try to go live with previews on Thursday for Saturday matches. We do pre-matches, we do post-matches, we do random shows during the week whenever news breaks. So if there's a big transfer or some kind of news happens with Everton, we often try to do quick shows to respond to that as well and react. So lastly, DCL up top. Let's do a DCL Beto combo today. We'll score them separately, but kind of talk about them together. DCL was... he struggled. We talked about this early on, but he was swallowed up by those very robust center halves. Did not have much space with the ball. Did not have much time on the ball, really. He did have, I think, the one opportunity in the first half along the left side. He wasted it. But no, not much from Dominic Calvert-Lewin today. Corey, how'd you see Dom?
5 out of 10. Better than the other poor lot. Mainly because of the job that he had against him, 2 big defenders dealing with him. And I do think at times he had a good flick, the head on, which was for Decore, I think it was, who wasted the ball. He somewhat created the chance for himself with the run over the top. Like you mentioned, shouldn't have cut in. He should be confident enough to take that first time. Just put your foot through it, your laces through it. If it doesn't go in, you've got a corner, or you're putting a bit of panic in the box for the Fulham players. He needs to have that cutting edge, but we know Dommy's never been that kind of striker. That's pretty much it for him. I think I wouldn't slag his performance off too much, but I'd say he was ineffective.
Yeah, I agree. And unfortunately, we're getting way too many out of Dom. It's such a disappointment because when he plays well, like he did last week against Ipswich, we're still lacking the final quality, right? In his 1v1s, he doesn't score as much as we need him to score. And then when there's days like this where he's not able to do that hold up, when he's not able to win aerials, you're not really getting a whole lot out of him in those days. Corey, it's been a wild ride. I think we've been joined by nearly everyone that contributes to Follow Everton. So appreciate you being with me for almost the whole duration. Appreciate everyone watching. We've gone on for now an hour and 20 minutes, 230 of you on with us. So Corey, I'll give you this chance. Any final thoughts before we go into the rest of our weekend?
It's good when you can play poor and get a result. That's one thing. Despite how poor we played, there are some bright spots in there. some of the bad spots are players that we know are gonna who can play better. McNeil for one, and I'm happy that Beto has scored. A lot of people are writing him off. I understand he's not technically fantastic. So for him to score, and I think he created a couple of chances or half chances for himself just by being tenacious, battling. He does put panic in defenders. So I don't want to write him off. I like what he tries to bring to the team, and I think if you give him the time to get used to actually playing Premier League football, then he'll do well. That DCL he's brilliant at what he does. He's fantastic. He excels at what he does best, but he's very one-dimensional, and that's where we need to have the bravery, or Dyche needs to have the bravery to bring Beto on earlier when you can see that Dom's not affecting it. Something different needs to happen. Bring Beto on, try something different, and hopefully, like today, he gets you something.
Yeah, indeed. Beto was the bright spot. He wasn't in for long, but I thought he really did impact the match today, just with his enthusiasm, his energy, his physicality. He is a force, and there are matchups that we will come into that's required, and it was today. So bravo to Sean Dyche. He made the right call by bringing Beto in when he did. It was needed, and he got it right. That was one decision he got right. I thought he got the Lindstrom decision right as well. All right, Corey, we'll get out of here. Anything else that we should touch on?
No, but I'm going to have a nice big glass of red wine now. I think I deserve it after that match.
All right, mate. Hey, you enjoy it. Thanks everyone for watching. Follow Everton. We'll be back with you again soon. Up the Toffees, and have a good rest of your weekend.
Up the Toffees.